Hi, it's Jennifer from Quiltin', Stitchin' and Kitties. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really fun Christmas quilt from scraps, fat quarters, half yards, or yardage. It's called Trip Around the World, and it is an exciting adventure in color and value. Value being the lightness or brightness of the fabric. So you start from the center and you work out and you add as you go. You can plan it ahead of time, or you can do what I did. I just put a bunch of fabric out and started going. I did pick my favorite fabric, which I had like 3 little pieces left for the center, and it is a adorable little snowman from the desert. So I decided, you know what, that's very meaningful to me, so I'm going to start with that, because I live in the high mountains of Arizona, about 5,500 feet. So what do? You start from your center, and then you add 4 pieces around it in a nice color that goes well, and then you add 4 more pieces, and that gives you like a 9 patch. And then from there, you just keep adding diagonals. And it's important to work that way so you can see how the colors are going together. Make sure and alternate darks and lights, or at least alternate colors that give you really good contrast, because that's how you get that really striking look. And you can go as many rows as you want, as many columns as you want. I chose to go 13 across, and these are 3-inch squares finishing at 2.5, and I went 17 vertically. So my quilt is going to finish at 32.5 by 42.5, because I just wanted a wall hanging. But you can make these any size that you want. You might not want to make them super small if you want a big quilt, because it's going to take a really long time. But any size that you want, just figure out the size that you want and then start cutting squares to match. And the important thing is, when you're working with scraps, that when you get to some of these really big diagonals, like this green or this red, you're going to be using a lot of fabric. So they may not be able to come from your scraps. You may have to go to your yardage to use those. But all these small ones in the center, they don't have a whole lot to start with. You can repeat fabrics if you want. You don't have to. I repeated the blue. I repeated the green because I liked them so much. And I repeated this sort of white, which says over the river and through the woods. So obviously you can do this for something besides Christmas, but it's a really fun quilt to make. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you what's called the webbing method to sew this quilt together. And it's a little quicker and a little faster than sewing together by rows. So I'm going to prepare that by sewing 2 columns together so that you can see what it looks like. And I will do that, and then I will be back. So hang on. Okay, I'm back. I have sewed together column 1, column 2, and column 3. The way that it works is you stack up, start with your top block, and then put all these blocks underneath in a little stack. You do that for column 1 and column 2. And then you flip over the block from column 2 to column 1 and stitch. And then you do the same thing on the next row down, flip it over and stitch. After you finish column 1 and column 2, then add column 3. And so you now leave all your threads together, and that's why it's called the webbing method. So as long as you don't clip your threads, there's no way you can get your fabric out of place. Then you take column 4, flip it over column 3, sew that piece, sew that piece, sew that piece, and you do the whole thing across. So then you'll end up with all these columns sewed together, and all you have to do is then take row 1 flip it down to row 2. So after I get all these columns sewed together, then I will show you how to sew the rows together. So I'll be back again. Okay, I'm going to give you a close-up on sewing the columns together. So I have currently sewed columns 1 through 4. I mark my next column with a pin, and I've got it at the top of the square as well as the top of the quilt. I sew those 2 blocks together, just using my regular 1/4-inch foot. Then these are all stacked up from the top down. I sew my next squares together, and then I just keep on going. So once I have sewed together all 13 columns, then I will come back and I will show you how to sew your rows together. Okay, I've got all the webbing done for the columns. Kind of cool. Can't possibly put them together wrong. Now I'm going to show you how to do the rows on my machine. Hang on. Okay, I have now sewed row 1 to row 2. I flipped row 1 down onto row 2, made the decision that all of row 1 would be going, seam allowances would be going to the left, and on row 2, they would all be going towards the right. So now that means when I flip 1 and 2 down onto 3, that 2 goes to the right and 3, which is underneath, is going to be going to the left. So I have to be real careful when I do that. Sometimes seam allowances want to fight with you. And then I put my pins in diagonally right before. So see, like right here, this one's trying to go to the right, but it needs to go to the left, so you just finger press it over. Make sure that when you're doing your stitching that you get your needle into the seam allowance and then pull your pin out and never sew over your pin. So then I will continue to sew row 2 to row 3 and then just keep on going all the way down. There it is, halfway done. Okay, it's all finished. A Christmas trip around the world. They really are fun. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I hope to see you again real soon. Take care of yourself, like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. It's always good to see you.